I recently finished my first semester of graduate school. I graduated with my undergraduate degree in December and went immediately into graduate school because at the time I was in a combined program thinking I was going to go and be an English teacher. A whole bunch of stuff happened with that. I'm not going to be doing that. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about in terms of education that I don't agree with, including the fact that in one of my grad school education classes we read Peter Thiel as an educational theorist, and I was very, very scared by that because when I brought that up to the professor, he was like, "Oh no, we don't have to worry about any of that." And I'm like, maybe we should have opposing viewpoints here. Um, but grad school was not the most difficult thing I did this semester. This semester, the most difficult thing I did was help to run the convention that I talked about, and also come to terms with the fact that I am a lot more physically disabled than I thought. So I thought for a while that my physical disability was just, yeah, I have a hard time lifting like really heavy stuff, and sometimes I have a hard time walking up and down stairs. So whatever. Yeah, it turns out I do have a hard time lifting heavy things, but I also have injuries in my back that make it difficult to walk. Right now, we're working through physical therapy to work towards potentially trying to heal one of those injuries, which is a slightly herniated disc at L4, L5. And I had my first session on Wednesday, and it went pretty well. But now that the medication my doctor had put me on it was a steroid, prednisone. Now that that's over, the pain's creeping back a little bit, but I'm doing my physical therapy stuff 3 days a week, three to 4 times a day. And the pain's not as bad as I thought it would be, so that's good. This past semester, I took 4 courses. One of those courses was readings in multicultural literature, which was really cool. We got to do a lot of different books that were multicultural. We did a book about the lives of black people, a book about the lives of indigenous people. We did a book about queer people, and then we also did a few like readings and poems and stuff like that, as well as the academic readings. It was a pretty cool class. It was online asynchronous, so that made it so much better for me. Another class I had that was online asynchronous was technology integration and curriculum design, which was interesting because sometimes I think that you need to go low tech. And I actually got really good feedback on one where it was like, please integrate technology into this. And I said, hey, I'm going to integrate make a lesson plan from the English standards. And I was like, I'm going to do editing. And I was going to do, what I did was I did like a 2 or 3 day lesson where it was basically you do pen and paper, then you do computer, then you compare, and also I put in like you work with your peers, you work with the teacher, stuff like that. And I was like, it could be 1 to 2 days. The only negative feedback I got on there was that maybe it should be like a week. And I was like, yeah, kind of thinking about it. I was like, yeah, it probably should be like a week. But he was like, I like how you scaffold from like pen and paper to technology so that way they can actually access the technology. Because if you can't edit with pen and paper, it's going to be really difficult for you to edit with any computer technology. Then the third class I took was Media Pop Culture and ELA, which was interesting because I did 2 years of Catholic school in high school, and we were not allowed to engage with pop culture for class because it was a sin, which was interesting. So like the very first discussion board post this is online async, so was introduce yourself and tell me about your pop culture experience in ELA. And I was like, it was a sin. The only pop culture thing we got to watch in Catholic school was Juno to teach us not to get abortions, which was a whole thing. Excuse me. I liked that class because actually we read Fahrenheit 451, and we did a lot of watching different clips from films and seeing how we could integrate that. I really liked what I really liked was the idea of using Shakespeare as film. I think that's better than using Shakespeare. Ultimately, I'd want to teach Shakespeare as a theater class, but unfortunately, you don't have time to do that. You barely have time to do that in a Shakespeare theater class in college. But that's what I'd love to have done. But one negative that I will say about that class was that there was 3 weeks of Fahrenheit 451, and I felt very behind because everybody else had already read it, and for some reason it had never been assigned to me. And then now my fourth class was digital video literacy composing, which was interesting because obviously you see I'm a hobbyist. I do videos, I do all this stuff. I barely edited for a long time when I made videos. As you can see, I've started editing because I learned a lot in that class. But what I really did not like about that class was we were encouraged to use AI for the brainstorming process. If I use AI, I use it for noise suppression, I use it for auto captions, although I don't actually think I have that ability right now with Clipchamp because I think you have to pay for it. Which I'm surprised by, and I don't really want to give Microsoft any more money. But it was we were using AI um, for things like the brainstorming and the beginning process, and I really didn't like that. And then we had an opportunity at the end of the class to discuss with the professor everything that happened with AI and our feelings on it. So I did that, and I explained my negative feelings and how it would have been better to use AI for the grunt work. And I also explained that because of using AI, because one of the assignments was to make a storyboard, and he had us use AI for that, because of that I've started drawing. Now, my drawings are not good. If you've seen my trapezoid of importance videos, you'll know that. I can barely even draw a trapezoid. But what I'm doing is I'm drawing. I'm getting better every day. Sometimes it's a worse day, sometimes it's a better day. And what I'm also doing is, because part of my physical therapy right now is to just lay on the floor on my stomach for about 15 to 20 minutes and then go into some exercises. Like 15 to 20 minutes with some heat on my back, and then go in and do some exercises. So while I've got the heat on my back, I'm drawing. It gives me something to do, and I think it works out pretty perfectly, and I'm getting better at drawing, coloring, stuff like that, and making art, and it feels good. And it did not feel good to be asked to make AI art. Over the summer semester, I'm taking a class in young adult literature, and I believe another class in curriculum design to see how that goes. With those two things, it's going to be really interesting to see how things go. I am rather excited about how things are going to go for me. The plan is for me to graduate in May of 2026 from this grad program, and then go from there and see if I maybe do another grad program or go and continue and go and get a job. I have a lot of things I have to think about because obviously with the physical disability, I'm going to have a lot of doctor's appointments over the next couple of months. A lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of physical therapy, so we're going to figure out the working situation, and we're going to hope to get YouTube monetized by Christmas. I'm at 1,000 hours of watch time over the last 365 days right now, which is a fourth of the way there, 25% there. So 25% of the way there is actually really impressive, and I'm super excited. I have a lot of videos planned. Tomorrow, Memorial Day, I plan on probably sitting down in front of the computer for about 8 hours and just busting out videos. After I finish over the course of the next, I'm probably going to try to do one day of filming of main stuff, but yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in.
And again, thank you for tuning into the videos. Don't forget that you can also see me on Patreon at Sammy5436, where it's $1 a month. I also am seeable on Instagram at Sammy5436. TikTok at Sammy5436. I'm on Blue Sky at Sammy5436, though I don't use that often. I believe I'm on Tumblr at Sammy5436, but I haven't used that in at least a year. And you can find me at my business email, thetrapezoidtalks5436 at gmail.com. Any information you need to send to those business emails will be looked at. I generally look at my business email on Wednesdays and Sundays, so just do be advised that I do not always have the ability to respond immediately, but if you do send an email to my business email, and as long as it's not offensive, I will respond if it's something I'm interested in with something positive, and if it's something I'm not interested in, I will thank you for your email and go ahead and say that there may be a future opportunity for us to collaborate if that's something you're interested in.